Now what I realize is that the biggest mistake was memorization, right? Because when you're actually trying to live your life in congruence with reality, you want to have a deep understanding of what you do and why you do it. And so it's much more important to know the basics really well than it's to know the advanced. But knowing arithmetic really well will help you really, whether it's at the corner grocery store counting change, to figuring out the value of your podcast business, to figuring out how to do the probability math on, some action that you want to take. So understanding basic mathematics cold is way more important than memorizing calculus concepts. And the problem is, and this is true of, I think, all reasoning, it's much better to know the basics from the ground up, solid foundation of understanding, a steel frame of understanding, than it is to just have a scaffolding where you're just memorizing advanced concepts. So if you look at the most powerful thinkers, especially the ones where money or life is on the line, they have to understand the basics really, really well. When you're memorizing, it's an indication that you don't understand. You should be able to rederive anything on the spot. And if you can't, you don't know it.
Don't even make attempt to memorize things. Just make attempt to understand them.
But if you can't, and this is where Twitter is great for me, is I try to understand something, and then I try to write it down in such a way that I can remember it, just the basic hook that'll point towards the deeper understanding, and I'm forced to explain it to people. And that's how I know I understand something. Really, today in society, you get rewarded for creative work, for creating something brand new that society didn't even know yet that it wanted, that doesn't know how to get other than through you. So the most powerful money makers are actually individual brands, people like yourself, or Elon, or Kanye, or Oprah, or Trump, right? These are individual brands, eponymous name brands, who themselves are leveraged, like you're leveraged. You have podcast media going out to everybody. That's leverage. The podcasts work for you when you sleep. They have knowledge that nobody else has, which is your knowledge is the knowledge of being Joe Rogan. I mean, who else is a UFC fighter and a commentator and a podcaster and a comedian and, interested in all these things and knows all these people? Can't replace you. So we have to pay you what you're worth. You just have a unique set of skill sets. So because of this unique, what I call specific knowledge, because of the accountability that you have with your name, because of the leverage that you have through your media, you're a money-making machine. I'm sure at this point I could make you start over tomorrow, wipe out your bank account, you'd be rich again in no time, because you have all the skill sets. So once people have those skill sets, and the beauty is the way you've done it is you don't have any competition. There's no substitution. If Joe Rogan were to disappear off the air tomorrow, it's not like random podcaster number 12 would step in and fill that thing. So the way to get out of that competition trap is actually to be authentic. The way to retire is actually to find the thing that you know how to do better than anybody. And you know how to do that better than anybody because you love to do it. No one can compete with you if you love to do it. Be authentic. And then figure out how to map that to what society actually wants, apply some leverage, put your name on it so you take the risks, but you gain the rewards, have ownership and equity in what you do, and then just crank it out. I started doing things like I would start looking at in every moment, in everything that happens, you can look on the bright side of something, right? And so I used to do that forcibly, and then I trained it until it became second nature. So for example, like a friend of my wife's was over, and when we were dating, and she took all these photos. She took like hundreds of photos, and then she sends them all to us. And my immediate reaction was like, why are you dumping hundreds of photos on my phone? I don't need hundreds of photos. Have some judgment. That was my immediate reaction. And then I could say, actually, how nice of her. She sent me hundreds of photos. I can pick the one that I like, right? There are two ways of seeing almost everything. There are a few things that are like high suffering, so you can't do that other than just saying, well, this is a teacher, right? But I slowly worked through every negative judgment that I had until I saw the positive in it. Now it's second nature to me. I also realized that like what you want is you want a clear mind, so you want to let go of thoughts. Happy thoughts disappear out of your head automatically. Very easy to let go of them. Negative thoughts linger. So if you interpret the positive in everything very quickly, you let it go, right? You let it go much faster. Simple hacks: get more sunlight, right? Learn to smile more. Learn to hug more. These things actually release serotonin in reverse. They aren't just outward signals of being happy. They're actually feedback loops to being happy. Spend more time in nature. These are obvious. Watch your mind. Watch your mind all day long. Watch what it does. Not judge it, not try to control it, but you can meditate 24/7. It's most obvious in Silicon Valley. Tons and tons of startups constantly coming up and shaving off little pieces of businesses from large companies and turning them into huge markets. So what looked like the small little vacation rental market on Craigslist is now suddenly blown up into Airbnb. It's just one example.
That's a great example.
But what I think we're going to see is, whether it's 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now, high quality work will be available. We're not talking about now driving an Uber. We're talking about super high quality work will be available in a gig fashion, where you'll wake up in the morning, your phone will buzz, and you'll have 5 different jobs from people who have worked with you in the past or have been referred to you. It's kind of like how Hollywood already works a little bit with how they organize for a project. You decide whether to take the project or not. The contract is right there on the spot. You get paid a certain amount. You get rated every day or every week. You get the money delivered. And then when you're done working, you turn it off and you go to Tahiti or wherever you want to spend the next 3 months. And I think the smart people have already started figuring out that the internet enables this, and they're starting to work more and more remotely on their own schedule, on their own time, on their own place, with their own friends, in their own way. And that's actually how we are the most productive. So the information revolution, by making it easier to communicate, connect, and cooperate, is allowing us to go back to working for ourselves. And that is my ultimate dream. Even when I run a company and I have employees, I always tell those people, hey, I'm going to help you start your company when you're ready, because I think that's the highest calling. Maybe not everybody will get there, but it would be fine if we were even working a 10-person company or 20-person company is way better than working in a 1,000-person company or 10,000-person company. So this idea that we're all factory-like cogs in a machine who are specialized and have to do things by rote memorization or instruction is going to go away, and we're going to go back to being small groups of creative bands of individuals setting out to do missions. And when those missions are done, we collect our money, we get rated, and then we rest and reassess until we're ready for the next sprint.